If you grade all of your relationships, what score would you get? And whatever score you would get on average, right? Is that enough for you to pass that class or pass that test?
Yeah.
If you were an all A student, but you have all C relationships, then something ain't right. Because you know the importance of excellence in your life, but you are settling for mediocrity or under mediocrity in your relationships or in your opportunities or in your partnerships. It just doesn't make sense. Welcome to another episode of Around the Way podcast, where we help you get around your obstacles and find a way to redesign your life. We are back. And before we get started, I just want you to know that I really, really love you. I do. I feel like a lot of times we don't really take time to showcase our emotion. We don't take time to showcase our appreciation and our gratitude for everything that I feel like people have done for us, you know. Anybody listening, man, Kiana has really played a major role in my life and, in my development.
That's how we coming in today.
As an individual. So I just want you to know, I appreciate you. I really do. And I'm thankful for the roller coaster, because it helped me appreciate when we're at the top. Right. And I think a lot of times, right, we don't appreciate the downs. We don't appreciate the ups. We only really see the roller coaster. So when we're down, we don't really take time to reflect, or when we're up, we don't really take time to be grateful. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like a lot of the different things that people have seen, from the outside looking in, it's like, oh, he's dope. But I really believe that, behind every strong, behind every successful, behind every dope man, there was a woman that was able to really curate, create, and affirm that person, whether it's pray for that person, whether it's discern for that person, whether it's to protect that person. But I just want to show love definitely at the beginning of the episode. And let's how you feeling?
Well, now you know what, I really appreciate that, Kyle. Because obviously I love you too, more than I can really express. But it's I think the older that you get, you realize that love is really is a choice.
Yeah.
It's the emotions and the feelings are great, but how I choose to treat you when I'm not happy with you is really showing whether or not I love you.
Nah, facts. And I think, if today was my last day, I feel like a lot of people operate in this mindset of I have more time.
Yeah.
Or she knows how I feel, or he knows how I feel, or I want everybody listening right now to pause the episode and really take time to go tell your parents that you love them. Take time to tell your spouse that you love them. Take time to tell your friend that you love them. And I got a text today that really spoke to me. It got me emotional when I was reading it from my guy. Shout out to Greg Jackson from Hill Charlotte, out here in Charlotte. And he was just texting me, and he was talking about how appreciative he was for me in his life, and that this brotherhood was going to be for a lifetime. And, it's kind of like you show up for people, you support people, but you really don't know the impact, that you have in people's lives. And just showing up for that person, not asking for nothing, not expecting nothing, just serving and showing up and supporting that person with no intention, right? Really just genuinely being there for somebody. And, I feel the same way, definitely, but just to have somebody communicate that to me, it just made me feel really good inside.
Yeah.
And how it made me feel, I had to make you feel that way, and I'm charging, and I'm holding every audience member that's listening to this right now to go do the same. This episode will be here when you get back, but that person
may not.
That person may not. So I need you to go apologize to somebody, go tell somebody you love them, go give somebody a hug, and then look in the mirror and tell yourself that you love you. You know what I'm saying? And that's probably not even what we're going to talk about today. But I just felt it in my spirit that you were owed, that consideration and that affirmation, because I feel like there's a lot of times when we're running and we're doing things and we're working and we're creating and we're curating and we're ministering and all these different things, but there's not a lot of times where we can really just sit down and be like, yo, like, good looks, like,
good looks.
Like I fuck with you. You know what I'm saying?
Good looks.
So yeah. How was your week? The week's still going.
I know the week is still going. I feel like the week has been good.
Yeah.
You know, productive. I feel like I'm habitually tired at this point. Like.
No, I know how it feels.
Like always tired and hungry.
Yeah. That's pregnant, yo. Literally.
Like the announcement you guys have all been waiting for.
Nah, literally. But nah, for real, like I feel like I'm energized. That's the funny thing. So you feel tired, I feel energized. And I feel like you feel tired because like you're in this this limbo of getting out of the old Kiana and creating this new Kiana while still trying to keep pieces of, you know, what you believe is amazing, right? And I feel like I'm like fucking refreshed all the time because like I'm really operating in purpose. Yo, boy, shout out to Kaya, best videographer out here in Charlotte. I don't care, anybody check him, right? And we was at lunch today at North Italia. I'm gonna need that affiliate link. Oh. And we were talking. He was like, "Yo, like, what did you do today?" And I was like, I kind of like gave him my day. And you know when somebody asks you what you do and you like really don't feel like you know, and you know, so you like really have to backtrack. Yeah. He was like, "Oh, you've been chilling all day," and I was like, "No, dude, like I've been working." But it's like I really enjoy my life. Like we podcast 20 hours a week. I'm on calls for my program probably another 5 to 10 hours a week, whether it's sales calls or whether it's strategy calls with my clients. That's 30 hours a week right there. And I feel like the other 10 hours, I'll probably still work 40 hours. The other 10 hours is probably just admin stuff. Like today I was working on copy for one of my my sales pages. And then I was just, you know, getting one of my clients something. But I talked to Arden today, and you know we was on the phone for probably like 45 minutes to an hour, and just affirming her and supporting her. And I think so many times, y'all, like we get into this, I'm an influencer, or I got a business, or I got responsibilities, like I got a girl, I got kids, I got a man, like all these different things. I got a dog or a cat, and we stop checking on people. Right? And we stopped checking on people. So the conversation that I had with her was amazing because I stopped what I was doing so that I can start having a conversation that would help somebody else. And I feel like because I'm intentional about having those types of conversations on a daily basis, I'm getting things, I don't know from where, but I'm getting things in return. So I don't know where I was going with that. But the point of the matter was like, I have a very simplistic life because I'm operating in purpose. I still take time to serve people. Like I served my boy Greg today. I still take time to, you know, eat. I still take time to take care of my health. I talk to my parents every day, but we still take time to get the work done. So I feel like you can do everything, still get paid for it, but operate in spaces where or do things that you actually enjoy doing, you know? So I feel like that's the disconnect, or not the disconnect, the difference between, I guess, where you are in your growth phase and where I am in my growth phase, but kind of in a more of a clarity phase. Because I feel like a lot of times growth doesn't always feel good. It doesn't. It's times where you're really tired, or you really just don't feel like doing anything, or it really sucks, or you're just confused and you don't really want to do anything. I feel like a lot of times we think the growth is always like amazing. You know, it's kind of like when you're growing up, like when your knees hurt or your arms hurt, like, oh, they call it growing pains. I feel like you still go through growing pains as an adult as well when you're changing careers or doing different things as well.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I think that people associate growth with the flowers. But interestingly, by the time the flowers bloom, they're about to die.
That's good.
So the growth phase is pretty much mostly everything that you see before the flowers even appear. And then by the time you see the flowers, a new growth phase is about to start.
Facts.
So I think that I definitely feel like in the space that I am in currently, I believe I have now gotten to the point. It's so interesting because the podcast, a lot of people will think that it's for the audience, and we talk about this frequently, that a lot of times the episodes resonate with us. Like,
facts.
My favorite episodes are not the ones where, you know, people are super emotional necessarily, or where they're like, you know, very personal. It's when I can see myself in the person, when I learn something from the person.
I think that's good. Like, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine that's a reporter. And she was saying, I was asking her, and I was like, yo, like, is it challenging, like, hearing some of the news that you hear and you having to report on these different things? And she came back and she was like, you know, at first it was, but, you know, you got to disconnect because you got to realize that this is just the job. And for me, it's interesting because I don't agree with that perspective at all. I understand the perspective so that you don't always take those things at home. But I love what you said about, like, you can see yourself in these other people. It is a job for us, but we still have curated conversations that we see ourselves, we're growing, this is our therapy session, but it's still an opportunity for us to feel with the other person. Not feel for, feel with. And I think because we are feeling with the person, we've been able to deliver or create safe spaces that will allow better and more higher quality episodes that all of our audience members can continue to listen to and be like, damn, like, either A, I need to ask myself that question, or B, like, hey, I feel that way too, or C, I really resonate with the strategy that person gave. I didn't think of that perspective. So every single episode, people are going to come back and really want to learn a strategy, connect with a guest, or really just kind of connect with us on a virtual scale to be able to really get through or around, obviously, the obstacles that they're dealing with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's important for a couple of different reasons, because I think most people, if they're being really honest, will say that there are certain people in their life that they have trouble getting through to, or trouble having meaningful conversations. We've seen it time and time again with people up here, and when they're about to leave, they're like, I know I need to now have a conversation with my dad, or it's somebody, my grandmother, my mom. Like, there's people that we have a disconnect with, and I think that in these interviews, what we have learned to do much better than what I think we knew we could is find the spaces where we can relate, because the person may be completely different than us, but there's always something that you can see yourself in, and that leads to the question that leads to the breakthrough. And so I don't have to have every single thing in common, but if I believe that we have something in common, we think the same on something, I can create a question that gets into, because the fact that we have that thought in common means that we probably think the same in some other ways too, or feel the same as it relates to some other things. And so that's how I come up with my questions.
Nah, that's facts. That's facts. And I think, you know, kind of just going completely off topic, I think it's the biggest thing for me is really being able to, I feel like a lot of times I get so caught up in listening because I'm a sponge, right? That I forget that we're podcasting. So it's like, yo, I want to ask you questions for me, but our audience isn't just us. So it's kind of like we have to find that balance and create that balance between, like, all right, I'm really, really interested in, like, hearing this, or not turning it into obviously a therapy session, what we was talking about yesterday, but really, like, asking and powerful questions so that these are things that our audience wants to know, or this is what an audience member would want to know.
I think that makes me think of, I've said this to you before, like this ideology that Steve Jobs had, where it's like, people don't know what they want, I tell them what they want. And I think that's kind of, that's, I love that. Yeah, like, shout that's out to Steve Jobs. Rest in peace. That's kind of the ideology that I have about our podcast is, for the guest, we have conversations that they didn't know they needed. Facts. Ask them questions that they didn't know to ask themselves. And I think for the audience, it's the same way. Some of these people that we've brought up here, you may have known prior to seeing them in our chair. However, you didn't even think that you cared to know some of the stuff that you find out about them in these conversations. And I think that's something that our guests do appreciate, is that we don't ask them the same questions that they would get if they went on the news or if they went on any other podcast. No shade to anybody else. I think that's our, like, unique selling proposition. Yeah, is that we ask the questions that other people don't don't think to ask.
And I don't even think it's not think to ask. I just don't think that it's kind of like after it's asked, it's like, damn, I should have asked that question. Or maybe that's what I was thinking about. I feel like every podcast is different, right? Every podcast, and then every host is different. I feel like because we share very similar, like a lot of similarities intellectually, I don't want to just have surface level conversations. Right. And it's interesting because we're both two people that don't like small talk. Yeah. So I don't want to create a whole podcast that has a bunch of small talk. Yeah. There's a lot of podcasts out here that have great small talk, or not great, that have small talk, that are killing it in the game right now, that are on top charts, winning awards, all these different things. But that's not our flow. Yeah. And I feel like it's interesting because it's like when you're running on a track, just using a track analogy, when you're running on a track as an athlete, if you get into somebody else's lane, you're going to get disqualified from the race. But if you continue to stay in your lane, you never know how the race can play out because you all start obviously in different lanes at different places, all these different things. Yeah. I think that a lot of times we want to run the race that is somebody else's. There's no point of us trying to go and have small talk conversations just to be like somebody else because that's not what we're most gifted in. I'm
not going to be good at that.
It's not me neither. Yeah. So it's like it's going to stretch us. So anybody that has a podcast that's listening, we don't want you to use our questions. We want you to create, like, I get my influence from watching the Joe Rogan, from watching Oprah, from watching David Shands and the Social Proof podcast, from watching Earn Your Leisure, from watching Larry King, from watching David Letterman, all these different people. I get influences based upon the experience that I want to create, not the questions. I love how they create an experience. At the front end, the focus is like, all right, let me get to know this person so that they kind of like lower their guard a little bit. And then once the red box comes out, it's like, yo, they're already ready. We already can, we're already vibing out. Once the red box comes, then it switches it up. And I think that's the same thing in relationships as well. It's kind of like, let me get to know this person before I just ask this person to marry me, or before I ask this person to just come over my house. Like, dude, I don't even know you like that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
We just expedite the process in like 50 minutes.
We expedite the process. Yeah. So, if you want to, if you're an audience member and you want to be able to recreate this experience in your home, on Zoom, or in this studio where we can recreate this experience, we could ask you questions, we can really dive into you understanding who you are, then we're going to have a link down below in our bio, down below in the show notes, where you could click on that link and you could schedule a session. And this isn't even a sales or a marketing
we're not
play
selling
right here.
Anything on
this is really, we want to be able to recreate this experience with as many people as possible. Obviously, we want to create the best experiences for you as an audience member. So we're going to handpick people that are going to create that experience for you on air. But if you want that experience, then we need you to go to the show notes, click on the link, and then check us out, because we want to be able to impact, influence, and source as many people as possible.
Yeah, and this is not a sales call. So it's not like at the end we're going to be like, now we have a $3,000 program to get you into. It's not.
No, it's not. And and it's interesting because one of the things that we have been talking about is like, what do we create, right? It's kind of like, it's so interesting because we're service-oriented people. We're very selfless. We want to just kind of, like, even the first day we started podcasting, it's like, yo, we see a studio, you have office here, let's just use it, right? Yeah. And I charge anybody to just use it, just do it. But we started the podcast, literally no notes, no questions, nothing, just rocking out, having a conversation. So if y'all haven't heard season 1, we want y'all to go back and listen to season 1 and just see the flow and then continue to see the evolution. But I believe that because we just did it, we've now created a space where we're just serving and we're ministering. But now it's like, all right, we're putting 20, 40 hours a week to this. How can we continue to potentially monetize off of, the service, right? So I think that's the biggest thing. What are some things that you have in mind that we could potentially do?
Can I say?
Yeah, sure.
Well, guys, I feel like y'all should know at this point, but the game, that's a big one.
No, the game is definitely coming.
Yeah.
By this episode, the game was going to be out.
Yeah, so the game, so we want the opportunity for you guys to take the red box home. So the same red box that you see on the table, plus some extra stuff in there, you'll be able to do it at home and have these conversations at home every single question that you've heard on the podcast thus far and the ones you haven't heard yet, as well as some extra ones that come out the brain.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it real. So, and this is not to cut you off, but I was thinking about something, right? So when I was dating, right, when I was like a young boy, a young whippersnapper.
What year are we talking about, Kyle?
Nah, facts. When I was in college and stuff, I would always take girls out and like Google questions to ask so that I can create like conversation. Cause just like when it's your first date, it's real weird.
You did that to me. I feel like you probably did that.
We're not talking about you. So the first time that the first time that I would meet someone, the reality of it is that literally I would want to know, because, and this is just me, because I hated those real awkward conversations at a dinner table or out somewhere. So I feel like whether you're dating someone, whether you are in a relationship and you're trying to get through to that person, whether, you know, you have a parent that you're just trying to get to know better, you know, whether your kids, you know, we're going to create a kid line where you can ask, you know, simplified questions to your children.
Yeah.
All of those different things. We want you to be, questions will be able to get you to the answer that you seek a lot faster if you already have a guide to be able to give you the question.
No, that's true. And a lot of people, they want deeper connections and they don't know how to do that. It's like so sick of, shout out to the Freemans. One of the posts that they put up recently was like something about why your relationship basically is boring. And then one of the things was like, you don't know how to ask good questions and you're giving inadequate answers, essentially.
No, literally. To
questions. And so I think there's a lot of people who would maybe want these deeper conversations, but they don't even know how to facilitate that. So this is a resource for that. No, and like literally. Kyle said, I don't know if it's necessarily conversations that you want to have with like your friend necessarily. Do you think?
Nah, it is.
You think so?
Because I feel
it seems quite intimate. I'm going to be honest.
I don't think so. I don't. I think if me and my friends had conversations like this, we would have deeper relationships. So interestingly, some of these conversations, some of these questions that we've created on this podcast, I've taken to my boy Greg, and I've taken to Dante, and I've taken to different people like George, and we've had these conversations off air. And I think it's interesting learning people's perspectives and hearing essentially like what they would think in a different setting.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What do you think that would look like if you had these questions and did them with someone of the opposite sex? Because all the people that you named were same sex. So
well, I'm just a good question to ask.
No, but I just want to know, like, do you think?
I feel like if it's somebody of the opposite sex, I do believe.
It'd get a little messy, right?
Not messy. I mean messy depending on what situation you're in, because for some people this may be the exact question that they need to get to the outcome that they expect, right?
But then what would that outcome be that this would be conducive for?
What do you mean?
What outcome would this be conducive for? Is it an outcome where we're just friends?
I see what you're saying.
That's what so what is the answer?
I don't know. Interestingly, I would love for our audience to chime in on that, right?
God. Because I would love that. I'm going to preface it with this, and hopefully this is after Colton's episode. But I don't necessarily believe that men and women can have strictly platonic relationships when spending large amounts of time and getting very deep like this.
I agree.
You do agree?
I agree.
I know you used to disagree with me. You did used to.
Yeah, I agree because I've tried both sides. Right? I've tried to spend time with women and have those deep conversations, and I feel like over time lines and boundaries are crossed. I feel like we're human, and it kind of goes back to the episodes in the first season where we were talking about willpower doesn't exist. And interestingly, I said that on the Social Proof podcast, and then I got eaten up in the comments, and I don't even give it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, because you're just arrogant. Willpower does exist.
I didn't see that,
bro. Like, go read a book, or it's just a different perspective, right? And I think I'm not the type of person to bash people's perspective, because I like to learn it, and I may just disagree. But I do believe in my life, I'm not speaking for everybody, just to preface it for anybody that thinks this is an arrogant. People will dislike what I'm saying. Yeah, that this is an arrogant comment. I do believe for me, if I'm spending a lot of time, that's step one. If I'm having these deep, intimate conversations, that's step two. Because these conversations aren't dinner table conversations. No. These are probably at the crib in private conversations, right? So if I'm having all this time, deep conversations, learning about this person, they're learning about me, what could happen if they like what they hear, or if they feel like this person is being vulnerable and transparent, that is going to create a connection.
Agreed.
Period. Even if you're having conversations like this, like we had, every single person that's come onto this podcast, we have a connection with. Imagine if we were with them every single day,
having these conversations.
It would get real dicey.
It
would get real dicey. It would be some swinging shit going on. You know what I'm saying? And that's not what we need.
Yeah, no, that's
but
not.
what I mean is, I just personally believe, in my experience as a man that tried to do both, and this is speaking on behalf of Man Incorporated.
You're the spokesperson.
No, I'm the spokesperson because I've been on both sides. I don't believe that we should believe in our minds that we can create platonic relationships with the opposite sex. Of course, if we're interested in the opposite sex, if, like, by spending a lot of time, by not setting boundaries, and by having deep conversations. Now, that's not saying have small talk conversations with your friends. What I am saying is you got to manage all of the other things so that this doesn't create. Now, if it organically does happen, then you have to assess that, and you can't not expect that going into it. So this is like to give you heard it from Kyle first. If you continue on the path that you're doing, or on the path that you're going, using all of our questions, using all of the questions that we ask on the podcast, and asking these same questions to that person, you can't expect that you're not going to be able to build some type of amazing relationship with that person if obviously y'all like what y'all are hearing, and expect that not to go anywhere.
Yeah, I do think I agree with that 100%. I am so surprised that we agree on that.
Yeah.
So surprised.
Yeah, I think it just took growth and just reflection and just awareness as well.
But I do think on the inverse, I think that our questions are designed in a way that really show you how people really think. And you have to listen to what people say, because if you uncover all of this stuff, it's a link. So somebody may divulge something about their childhood and the way they perceive love. Like we talked about that in one of the conversations, like the way that person perceives love and the way that they see love, they're going to act in that way.
Facts.
So like, just pay attention to what people are telling you. Like, it's not your job to change people. It's not your job to, like, show people new things and hope that they like new stuff. Like, that's not your job. Like, find people that are compatible with you. Welcome back. So me and Kyle are actually agreeing on something right now. Literally. It's so crazy.
What I was thinking about earlier is kind of to take it a little different way. One thing that I was reflecting on earlier when I was meditating is like this thought.
You were meditating earlier?
No, I really was.
The fact that you looked at me when you said it like earlier when I was meditating.
When was you meditating?
When were you doing that?
I was meditating in the car as I was driving. I was meditating, right? And one thing that I think is something that came to me is like clear your canvas, right? Clear your canvas, or like clear your canvas before you meet somebody. Oh, and what I mean by that,
sounds interesting, is
if you think about a canvas, obviously all canvases start blank. When you're a baby, you start blank. Every experience, in my opinion, every experience is like a paintbrush stroking on the canvas. Whatever picture comes out is based upon what? All of your different experiences. Because we are a product of what? Our experiences in life. Our decisions, our fears, our thoughts, I believe, are all of a product of what we've experienced, whether it's in the home, in jobs, what's in dating situations, whatever the case may be, right? So I judge people often based upon what I hear from other people, or just based upon my perception of that person in looks, in dialect, in intellect, all of these different things, and status. And that's something that I'm really trying to break. I'm really intentionally trying to break that. So something came to me that I just wanted to share with people, and it's called clear your canvas. And every time that you meet someone, I want you to be able to clear the canvas of what you believe of them. And what I mean is you have to clear your canvas and then clear their canvas, and then just ask powerful questions and give yourself an opportunity to get to know them based upon where you're at right now and where they're at right now. I think so many times we judge someone based upon where they were or a decision that they made 3 years ago versus giving them an opportunity to show you who they are in the present. So my focus, my charge, what I'm really trying to be more intentional about is giving people the opportunity of showing me who they are, giving people the opportunity of really building a relationship, like for us to build a relationship together, giving other people the opportunity of, no matter if you wrong someone else, no matter if you wrong me in the past, if I'm here sitting with you in 2021 on this day, then we have to clear our canvases, both of our canvases, so that we can give each other the grace to continue to get to know each other and then paint another picture.
That's tough, Kyle.
It is tough.
I'm not sure if I'm 100% on board with that one. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What is the criteria or the guidelines that you would be setting to determine who is eligible for this clearing of canvas? Because it, like, certain people, depending on where they're at now, because they may say they're somewhere now different that is not different than where they were, which is opening you up to what they did in the past.
Yeah.
What criteria are you using to, assess who gets this privilege?
I don't know.
Privilege?
It's really just, it's brand new, right?
Okay.
And it's just something that I wanted to give people, kind of to walk you through my journey as I'm going through it as well. Mm-hmm. I'm really intentionally trying to. So for me, right, the other day got into it with Carter's mom. Not really got into it. We got into it. And I just feel like we have two different perspectives on kind of like how we live our lives, right? Mm-hmm. Or two different perspectives in, whether it be parenting or communication. And I sat on it and thought about, because I think I hear this so many times, and I share this for this reason, and more a positive reason. She's an amazing person in a lot of different areas that I don't get to see. Mm. I'm an amazing person in a lot of different areas that she doesn't get to see. And the only reason that we don't get to see those things is because we don't share that experience anymore.
Right.
So I know at the core of who she is, she's a beautiful person. She's a beautiful being. However, we have not intentionally taken the time to clear our canvases individually and see each other for who we've grown to be, because there was so much turmoil in the past. Mm-hmm. And I believe if you want to keep a relationship in your life, or if you have to keep a relationship in your life, you have to see past who they used to be. You have to see past the experience that they created in your life. And you have to see forward and be present in setting boundaries and creating an atmosphere and an environment that is conducive on who you are today. So what has happened is that, and I say this all the time, you go through a storming process before your new norms are formed. Mm-hmm. So that may look like arguments or crucial conversations or just disagreements. Then based upon that, then what you have to do is then recreate and recommunicate who you are now, and then communicate what you need from this relationship. Based upon then you communicating that, then that other person has the ability to then fill out the check boxes if they can do that or if they cannot do that. Based upon this new experience with that person and how many check boxes they are checking, you then create a canvas based upon the new picture that they have and that you see when you look at this picture, when you look at this person.
Okay, I could get with that more.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I was missing the expectation portion.
Yeah.
That you tied in the end, because I feel like a lot of times people want to believe that the person is new, and then they're like, oh, we're just going to start fresh, start a blank slate, and then the person is like very similar to how they used to be. So then you have these expectations that they're a new person, and really they're an old person, like the same person, and so they can't meet those expectations, and then you're disappointed. But
this is how I see it, though. Mm-hmm. I feel like if we've broken up, or if we've taken time away, or if we've distanced ourselves, I look at this relationship as a new relationship because the old relationship died.
Agreed.
Right? So I have to learn this new person. Mm-hmm. But I'm intentional about the expectations that I set as I am maybe a new person in that season. Mm-hmm. So I may have grown, I may have developed, I may have better communication strategies, I may have new expectations, I may have different things that I need. Mm-hmm. I may not want certain things anymore. Once I realize that, then I have to communicate that with that person. Like, look, I need this, I need that, I want you to do this, but I'm not going into that conversation harsh. I'm not going into that conversation not being graceful. I'm going into that conversation like open for the possibility of us creating a positive new relationship based upon these new people that I believe that we can be. First, it's a belief. Then after you get to the belief, then the expectations are set. Then based upon the expectations, then then the observation comes from that person. So now I have to observe what of these expectations are being checked, what expectations are not being checked. Now, it's up to you as an individual to either you have another conversation about the expectations, or you just take your 3 out of the 5 and just keep moving forward. And then now understand and meet that person with the 3 now, instead of trying to continue to get the whole 5. You have to then come up with your own measure. Like, look, sometimes 40% may be the best that you can get.
Right.
Sometimes 60%. So stop trying to search for the 100 because that person may be only capable of giving you 40. Now that obviously 40% isn't going to be good enough for a relationship, but sometimes 80% is good enough to date somebody. Because I don't really believe that you're always going to get 100%.
I don't think you're ever going to get 100%. I think that at most you probably get around 80% of what you want in a person.
Exactly.
And so, that's like across the board. So like how much money they make, what they look like, how tall they are, how fit they are, like how much they agree with you on things. Like I think that's across the board.
Yeah.
80% is good.
But sometimes if you look at that person based upon the new norm and 5% is what you're going to get from that person, you just got to take the 5 and keep it pushing.
Yeah, because obviously like we're talking about, it's not a person that you want to marry. We're talking about people that you need to be in some form of like communication with. And
now the question for our audience is like, all right, but what about the people that you don't need to be in relationship with?
5% is not enough.
5%. Now you have to create that measure. Do you believe that 5% is enough? You are 100% of a test. Like literally, if you judge or if you grade all of your relationships, I'm getting busy now. If you grade, facts. If you grade all of your relationships, what score would you get? And whatever score you would get on average, right? Is that enough for you to pass that class or pass that test?
Yeah.
If you were an all A student, but you have all C relationships, then something ain't right. Because you know the importance of excellence in your life, but you are settling for mediocrity or under mediocrity in your relationships or in your opportunities or in your partnerships. It just doesn't make sense. So what I want people to do right now is I want you to, on one sheet of paper, we just create a whole nother activity. On one sheet of paper, I need you to write 100%. That's what you want. That's what you want in your life. That's what you require. Right, 100%, and then I want you to list all of the different things that you list. And then on the other sheet of paper, on the other side of the paper, I need you to write down all of your relationships. And then what I want you to do is obviously this list of maybe 10 or maybe 20 things on the left side is all of the things. That's 100%. So of your friendships on the right side, how many of those things on the left side do they give you? I need you to add those up, divide it by the number. Do some math, divided by the number. Maybe that's 30%. Maybe that's 100%. Maybe that's 20%. Whatever the case may be. Now what I want you to do is pick your winning number. Pick your winning number. You know what your winning number is? The percentage number of what works for you. Woo! That's the exercise. And once you're doing it, what I need you to do, I need y'all to finish this exercise at the end of this episode or sometime tonight. Finish this exercise, and then I want you to tag me and Kiana in the exercise, and we're going to give you something. We're going to give away something.
And I actually want y'all to choose your winning number prior to you doing the exercise.
Because they're going to try to pick people.
Exactly. Now it's like, oh, I need to get this person at blah, blah, blah. Or like, oh, well, my winning number is 70 because she got 70, and I want to keep her around. Like, don't do that.
And what I need you to do, so talk to us a little bit about, all right, now the process is, all right, they didn't meet the winning number. Talk to them, now what?
Now it's a crucial conversation.
What does that look like?
Well, the first thing is that okay? They haven't met the winning number of the things that you say you want. Is that okay? Because this makes everything much easier if you say yes, it is okay, or no, it's not okay.
And if you say yes, it is okay, you got to check yourself.
Yeah, you need some more work and some more time.
If you say yes, it's okay at 20%, you're not okay, and you need to reach out to Kiana Williams and get ready to mingle, because that ain't it.
No, that's true. But like, it's first you, because a lot of people are committing they're making decisions and not committing. So you say that, no, I want this, that, and the third in my life. Yet the commitment level that you're expressing indicates that you only want 20%.
Oh.
Because if you did really want that, and that's something that you were really actually deciding on, the 20%ers, the 50%ers, the 70%ers are not going to be, it's not going to behoove you to stay in that space.
That's facts. The 20% is not enough for me. Yeah. You know what 20% was in a time of my life? Sex. You know what 20% was? Is free lunches. You know what 20% was like late night booty calls. That's what 20% used to be. Or 20% back in the day from a business level was delivering me food. Or 20% was just sending this email for me. 20% was just creating this Canva graphic. That's not enough. That's not enough. So when I stopped allowing the 20%, God gave me the 80. Woo! When I stopped allowing the 20%, God gave me 280s. When I stopped allowing the 20%, God gave me 100%. God gave me 100%. So what I want y'all to stop doing is allowing 20% and expecting that God is going to give you more, because he's not. You have to stop allowing the small so that he can provide you with success with the big. Right? So this is good. This is good.
Yeah. And then like just going back to your question about like what happens once you decide that, that crucial conversation, it needs to be honest, but not in a way that's hurtful. Because and I say this a lot, just because you're not fit for my life doesn't make you a bad person. It just means that I know that if you're not fit for me, I'm not fit for you.
Facts.
And so I'm occupying a space in your life that is meant for someone else as well. And so a lot of times we make it about us, but like I say, when you have people's puzzle piece in the wrong space or in a puzzle that it doesn't belong, it's also missing from the puzzle where it does belong.
It's true.
So that's where the conversation needs to be, is that I need this, that, and the third, and this is not a slight towards you. However, I feel that I'm also occupying a space in your life where someone else is better fit to serve.
That's 100. Look, you've heard it from the best. You've heard it from the best. Stop occupying people's space that you don't deserve to be in. Check. And stop allowing people to occupy space in your life that you no longer have the capacity for. I need you guys to clear your canvas. I need you guys to set expectations. I need you guys to set boundaries. I need y'all to do this exercise that we shared with you today.
That's a great exercise.
And pick your percentage before you actually do the exercise, because that's what shows you who's good enough. Because you are good enough. Because the reality of it is, what this experience just showed you is that you are 100% already, baby. You are 100% because all of the things that you want can happen. It can happen. But you have to pick the percentage that works for you. Go pick your percentage. Go clear your canvas. Go clear your space. And listen to our next episode. This is Around the Way podcast. And we will see you guys next episode.
Bye, guys.